One of your most iconic moments in the WWE is that when you had to turn your back on your team, your friends,
Yeah.
the Shield.
Yeah.
You like, damn, Vince.
That was painful.
If I must, I must.
It was hard. But the hard thing on it is, they had pitched the story to break up the Shield a few months earlier.
If no one is familiar with what they're talking about right now, let me remind you.
Oh my God! In this moment, the Shield is breaking up. No one saw this coming. Dean Ambrose looks completely stunned, like he can't wrap his head around why Seth Rollins is doing this. Before he can even react, Seth keeps swinging that steel chair.
One of the craziest moments in 2014. It's been over 10 years since the Shield broke up, and this still was a shocker because I didn't expect Seth Rollins to be the one to break it up. I knew eventually the Shield would break up, but I didn't think it would be Seth. I thought, honestly, it would be Ambrose because he always acts like a weirdo. He is probably he's the lunatic. He's John Moxley now, but he's crazy, so I would expect him to break them up. But who would have known the Architect would be the one to do it? But anyway.
Relentlessly attacking his Shield brothers. This is it. The 2-year bond of the Shield is shattered. Seth Rollins sold out his brothers for a shot at success, choosing to bow to the Authority. Why? It all traces back to Triple H's plan. After the Shield took down Evolution, they became the backbone of WWE. But then Batista suddenly announced he was leaving, and that's when the tide turned. Triple H decided to put Plan B into action, setting his sights on Seth Rollins, the one he thought was easiest to turn. And Seth?
So, storyline-wise, if you guys rewinded back, WrestleMania 30, the Shield went against the Authority, or went against 2 members of the Authority, or something like that. The Shield wasn't cooperating with the Authority anymore, so it became a story that was lightly starting up around WrestleMania time. It escalated during Backlash afterwards, to the point that at that point, Batista decided, I'm done, I'm out. And he left. He left WWE for a moment until his final match. But he left the WWE. So after Backlash, this was the next plan for Triple H. There's always a plan B. Right, Triple H?
He caved, betraying the Shield for the sake of his own gain. Now, Seth slams the chair down in front of Dean Ambrose, then hits him with his finisher, the curb stomp, without an ounce of mercy. Dean's completely taken out. Down at ringside, the masterminds, Triple H and Randy Orton, are watching with smirks, eating this up. Once Seth's done with Roman Reigns and Dean, he climbs down from the ring, chair in hand, and walks over to Triple H. He stares at the chair for a second, then hands it off to Randy Orton. Randy takes it, heads back into the ring, and unleashes another brutal assault on Roman. It's a gut-wrenching sight. No one could have predicted this. Gotta say, WWE's storytelling back then was chef's kiss. Randy keeps pounding Roman with that chair, knocking him unconscious. Then Triple H grabs his sledgehammer, climbs into the ring, and Randy rips Roman's shirt off.
Like, they were just brutalizing both Dean and Roman.
Clearly, he's not done. He yanks Roman up and hits him with an RKO.
And now an RKO
on the freaking chair.
Seth stands there, watching his former brothers, face totally blank. From this moment on, Seth Rollins is part of the Authority, and his villainous run with them begins.
And a great villainous run it is. So let's continue with Seth.
Months earlier, we were like, no, man, we're not ready. We're not ready for that. Like, we'd been bad guys. The crowd was really starting to get behind us. We wanted to be good guys. We wanted a longer run. Like, we felt like we had a lot more in the tank. Mm-hmm. And so we have a match with the Wyatt family in Elimination Chamber in February. Then we go to WrestleMania. We're full good guys at that point. We do 2 6-man tags with Evolution right after that. Like, we're awesome. We're on cloud 9. We're feeling great about things, the 3 of us. We show.
They were probably the best. I mean, they were good as faces. I enjoyed them more as heels. But beggars can't be choosers. There was still a good storyline between them and Evolution.
Up to Raw the day after, and they knew that if they gave us heads up, we would say no, and we would find a way to try to fight out of the breakup. So they brought us into the office, and they just said, here's what we're going to do tonight.
And when he sees that, it's probably Triple H, at that time Vince, because Vince was still there, and maybe Bruce Pritchard was there, or Hayes.
Tonight. It was also in Indianapolis, Indiana, by the way. A lot of Shield history in that town. And they're like, this is what we're going to do, and Seth is going to be the one to pull the trigger. And I remember, like,
wow,
in the room, just the silence. And when we walked out of the room, it was like, what do we do? You know, like, can we stop this? Like, are we doing the right thing? And, you know,
the answer is no, because at the end of the day, whatever WWE wants you to do, you do it. If you don't do it, they're gonna make your career a living hell. So at that time, all the members of the Shield were gaining attraction, but they weren't to the level they are today. Now, if that happened to them now with the level status that Seth and Roman is, yeah, they can say, F that, I'm not doing that. Let's figure something else out. But at that time, they had to work with the company. Especially, this was also around the same time that CM Punk left. This was the year, 2014, was a few months ago at Royal Rumble, a few months before, CM Punk left. And around this time, CM Punk was handed his firing papers at his wedding. So they know, you either commit or not commit. I mean, if CM Punk, which at that time Seth saw as a mentor, as someone like that, wasn't getting what he wanted, there's nothing they can do, at least for now. So they had to roll with it. There was a lot of tension there. And it was mostly, we had found our comfort zone as a trio, and we were really relying on each other, and we enjoyed the process, and we enjoyed performing together, and we did feel like we had more legs. But at the end of the day, it was one of the most shocking betrayals and shocking moments in the history of our company and our industry, and what it set in motion. Probably one of the most watched videos back then on YouTube, because a lot of people were shocked when that happened. Between that, we already went through the heartbreak of freaking Undertaker getting his streak broken by Brock Lesnar. And we're like, okay, WWE is not going to give us more heartbreak. And then this happened, especially for Shield lovers.
Over the last 10 years, 11, 12 years almost now, it has been a complete paradigm shift in our industry. You look at myself, Roman, and Jon Moxley, we're at the very tippy top. And if we had stayed together, it just wouldn't be possible.
Nope.
So you needed that break. I was super fortunate that I was the one to be the catalyst for that. I still feel the repercussions for that today. Like, people still ask me to this day, 12 years later, why did you break up the Shield? You know, these are grown people, because they watched it when they were teenagers.
Absolutely.
You are grown. You know this stuff ain't real. Come on now. That hurts you that bad?
Yeah.
God.
Just something it did.
Who determines whether you're a good guy or a heel?
Ultimately, the audience. Ultimately, the audience does. I think, you know, the
audience drives where the story can go. Now, WWE runs the show, but if the fans don't like it, they will reject it. And he'll bring it up. But the most important thing, if you can think about, when they try to push down our throats, initially, Roman Reigns as a face with his weird promos, his suffering succotash type of lines, all that era of Roman Reigns, the fans rejected it, to the point that when they forced the win for the Royal Rumble, The Rock couldn't even save him from being over. So, yes, the fans ultimately are the ones to decide whether they want to back someone up or not. And it is up to WWE to follow through with that, because if they follow through with that, either through that, tickets will sell, events will sell, merch will sell, who knows? So
there's suggestions about what feels good. You know, what would, you know, do we need a babyface here? Do we need a heel here? The creative team, we'd like you to do this, we'd like you to do that. And you put forth your best effort. Ultimately, the audience really decides if you're going to be cheered or booed, you know, and that's it. And then you gotta roll with that punch.
Right.
If you swim upstream, it only works so well. You know, if Eventually it backfires. And so I think you saw that. Roman Reigns is a really great example of that. Roman Reigns is a guy that they wanted to be a babyface, the top babyface for a long, long time. And they were like, we're going to do this. I'm going to force this to happen. Force this to happen.
Vince, when he was running the show, he's very famous for trying to push that. He did it with Hulk Hogan, which it worked out for him. He did it with other people. One other big example is John Cena, when they were trying to push him face all the time down our throats. While some people did like it, some people didn't. That became the whole Cena sucks, let's go Cena chants. And then Roman Reigns was right after him. Seth, on the other hand, it seems like both versions work, but I think, in my personal opinion, Seth as a heel is probably top tier when it comes to his career. Whenever he did heel, best. I still think his first run as a heel was probably one of the best. It was chicken-esque style heel, but still good. When he's a face, it's good. He's able to keep the momentum the best when it comes as a face. The workhorse era of him with the heavyweight championship was amazing.
And it never took the way it needed to. When Roman Reigns turns heel, 2020, 2021, changed everything for him. He became more comfortable. He became, a more honest version of his character and of himself. He was allowed to become...
This is the tribal chief era that he's talking about.
The star that I think everybody wanted him to be as a babyface. And now, because he was so excellent at his role as a heel, they were able to, now he's the biggest babyface and biggest star, arguably, in our company and in our industry. And so the audience did that. They forced that by rejecting for so long. And so, Bryan Danielson is another great example. Daniel Bryan, WWE. He was a guy that the fans, sometimes people just catch fire. My wife, Becky Lynch, they tried to force her into a role as a heel, not reading the room. This is SummerSlam, I want to say 2018 maybe, and she slaps the bejesus out of Charlotte Flair in the middle of
the initial seeds of the man
ring, and everybody in the back thought she was going to be a heel. But if you would have been paying any attention to what was happening, you knew that when she slapped Charlotte, that place it was Brooklyn, was going to go nuts, and they did, and it catapulted her. The audience took her into the biggest female babyface that's ever lived in this company.
Charlotte, for some reason, works better as a heel, and it's always going to be that way. Her as a face, even when they push it, it doesn't work. Heel Charlotte is the best. Becky can do both. Don't get me wrong, but she was at a time when, in the era that Seth is talking about, it was like do or break. Like whatever happens in the next few months could make or break her career to the point that they can let her go contractually. The beginnings of the man is what saved her career from staying relevant in WWE and becoming a top tier, to the point that her, Charlotte, and Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania 35 main evented for the women for the very first time in history at a WrestleMania. They closed out the show. And it was because, I'm sorry, they can say it was all three, which I agree, but I think mostly it's because of the man. She was such a hot streak as a career person. So sometimes people work best as heels, some people, and then go to face, and some people are good as face going into heels. You got to work with the crowd.
Is it harder to go heel babyface or babyface heel?
I don't know that if you do the switch at the right time, neither one is difficult.
Okay.
It is harder to maintain being a babyface long term, I find.
That's true.
I just think it's easier to be a heel. It's people naturally.
People won't like rooting against somebody.
They just
people love to hate, so being a heel is always easier. It's also, in my opinion, more fun. That's why Logan Paul is enjoying his run in WWE, because he is so good at being a heel. He's so good at capturing heat. But for a face, the chase, when the face is doing the chase, like Cody Rhodes, for example, chasing for his first ever heavyweight title at WrestleMania 39, then eventually 40, the chase is always good for a face. But once he captures it, that also becomes an issue for a face. That's why after his win, Cody fans were they were all over the place when it came to his run as a champion or his run afterwards, because the whole big story is already done. So what's next for Cody? So that becomes an issue for most faces when you do a big storyline arc and it's done, and how can you be consecutive? So I feel that's always a struggle for face. I think a lot of people would agree with that.
Naturally want to hate, you know? The world's just full of haters, you know? They naturally want to complain about something. So it's just easier. And you have more leeway. You can't, like, you know, as a good guy, you have to be locked in, right? Any little misstep, you have a bad promo, you have a bad match, people can start to turn on you easily. When you're a heel, you have so much freedom. It's hard for you to screw up, you know, because you screw up and they laugh at you, and then you get mad that they laugh at you, and then they get mad, then they hate you more,
right?
You know, so there's more of an antagonistic relationship with a heel, and I think that's just easier to get done. At least in a modern wrestling setting. It might have been easier back in the day, you know, when everybody didn't know everything.
Right.
But yeah, I find it easier to be a heel. But if you hit the transition point right, when the audience is ready to make the switch, then I think it's in that immediate point after the turn. Either way, kind of the same.
Whether you're a heel or a babyface, do you need a signature move?
Yes, very important. Very important. Because your audience gets, like, they get clued into it, you know. That's one of the things about our business, is the audience having a pivotal role in the storytelling. When they feel like they're a part of what's happening, that's when it's the best, you know. When they're not just
some moves are just boring as hell, and his is probably the most entertaining. And you have to have a good move to get the crowd routed, because if they just do it and the audience is flat, and you go back to that gorilla position, you're gonna have a talk with Triple H, because he's gonna give you comments. And if you've seen the Unreal clips with him in LA Knight, you know what I know.
they're not just voyeurs, they're actually in.
Yeah.
You know, they're in some way. So that participation, whether it's a catchphrase or a signature move or a setup, you know, you think of The Rock and all of his million, finally The Rock had
Can you smell where The Rock is cooking?
Yeah, and I do my, I am a visionary, I am a Seth, and they do the freaking Rollins, you know, or they sing the song. And you have like some stuff like Cena where he's able to do his whole comeback and you can't see me, and now they know it's the end, you know? So it's like just those participation things, and a finisher having a great signature and finishing move is something they can look forward to as the match progresses.
You mentioned that.
Or a laugh.
The WWE for the longest time, they wanted big. I mean, you had Hulk Hogan, you had Andre the Giant, you had these massive men.
Yeah.
You know, you Triple H, and you had Undertaker, and you had, you know, these guys. You wrestled Big Show, Kane. You wrestled some of the big. And
anyway, that's mostly the stuff with Shield. So, as you see, he was able to grab the rings and become one of the hottest heels when he became heel. The first time he got injured with his first big injury, his leg, and then he came back even harder than before, and he's one of the top talent in the male side of WWE. Can't go wrong with Seth Rollins. He's probably one of the best out there at this moment, and pay attention, because unfortunately in a few years, or maybe even sooner, he will retire from wrestling, especially since he's getting more body issues and injuries, and, you know, his now number one priority besides his field of work is his daughter. So anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments about Seth and his thoughts on the Shield breakup. Do you agree with how WWE decided on who would do the Shield breakup, or did you think there was a better way to do it? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you on the next video. All right, let's talk Monday Night Raw.